What's up, everybody? I'm Thomas with World Animal Foundation. We're back with 100 days into the SpotOn and Halo collar. I suppose you probably noticed that I've been doing a lot of these videos outside. Well, it's pretty much springtime here in Florida, and it's beautiful out and it's nice, so I figure why not. As far as the two collars are concerned, they're both still functioning very well. There's a little bit of wear and tear on each of them, as you will soon see. I'm not a veterinarian. I didn't make these collars, but I am a very experienced pet owner. I've had Doberman pinschers off and on all my life. We also raise chickens and Indian runner ducks here. So these tools and things that we use for keeping our pets safe and keeping them inside the yard are, excuse you, Aries, are invaluable. And after 100 days of using both of these collars, they just refuse to go away. They refuse. As you can see, Themy's wearing the SpotOn collar, Aries is wearing the Halo collar, and they both refuse to leave me alone and let me make a video. Okay, I had to clear them out of here, but after 100 days, both collars are still very functional. I've got some pictures to show you about, just little scratches, scuffs, and scrapes, things of that nature. No big deal. It hasn't really affected the usage of either collar. I think it's better than just a typical review after a few days release, or a few days of having it. You get a more in-depth and a better idea and understanding of how well the collars hold up over time. So I think it's very important to kind of cover that from top to bottom. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button because it helps us out a lot. The bigger the channel grows, the more of this stuff I can bring you. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, both the Halo and the SpotOn are designed to create virtual fencing systems. Now, you do this through the app and it coordinates with the collar. Now, both of them have numerous virtual fences that you can create, or boundaries that the dogs are not supposed to cross. And both of them are very accurate, and they've continued to be pretty accurate over the 100 days so far. What I will say is the Halo probably lags behind the SpotOn to a small degree. And that's mostly because the SpotOn has what's called forest mode. Now, in my personal experience, I have a heavy tree canopy here. As I'm sure you've seen if you've watched any of my previous videos, I've talked about this. And the forest mode gives the SpotOn just a little bit more accuracy for me than the Halo does. The Halo lags behind just a little bit. Now, there's no such thing as a perfect lightning fast GPS system unless there's some military application that I'm unaware of. You can get some fast ones, you can get some slow ones, but the Halo and the SpotOn are relatively quick, relatively precise, with the SpotOn having the edge just a little bit with that forest mode. Now, the SpotOn also has what's called a keep out zone. These are little zones that you can create inside your fencing, like a shed or a garden, something you don't want your dog to get into. That's something the Halo doesn't have, but the Halo makes up for it by sending you a small little thing they call the beacon. Now, this comes with the collar, so it's not something you have to purchase separately. And the beacon has its own little sphere that you can use as a keep out zone, or you can use it to deactivate your dog's collars, like put it on your keychain whenever you walk your dog. Just have it in your pocket and it will deactivate their collar, and you can take them right out the fence zone, no problem. And once you come back in, take it, you take your keys, go inside, dog goes inside, everything's fine. There are multiple training modes with both collars, although the Halo definitely has the SpotOn beat in this regard. And that's because the Halo has a ton of training and guide modules and videos. A lot of people are visual learners. They like to learn things by watching other people do it, and the Halo definitely trumps the SpotOn in that regard. Now, that's not to say the SpotOn doesn't have anything, because they certainly do. There are training guides in the SpotOn that you can look at, and there are, of course, YouTube videos that you can watch. And the SpotOn has some pretty decent frequently asked question sections, and of course customer service. Now, the Halo, you can actually do a video conference with customer service. So again, the visual component to me really is above and beyond where the Halo is concerned. The battery life for both is never as advertised, and that's not necessarily a Halo and a SpotOn thing, that's an everything thing. They advertise 24 hours. Basically what you're getting is 20 to 21 hours. However, unless you keep your dogs outside all night, and most people who are looking at these types of collars probably don't do that, you're gonna charge these collars every night anyway. It's just, for me, it's a matter of taking them off, putting them on the charger, and they both charge very easily. Over the period of 100 days, the app is still sharp and crisp. I will say the Halo is a little more clunky when it comes to adjusting and creating your fences, and that's because you have to hold your finger down on the dot, which is the fence post, then move it, then release it. The SpotOn is much more quick, intuitive. You just touch the fence post and move it across and it works. I mean, it's just smooth as butter, no problem at all. So the Halo is probably a little lower than the SpotOn in that regard, but both apps work fantastic for me, and they both notify me just as quickly as the collars go off. The SpotOn has a new feature called off grid, and this, if you activate this, you can take the SpotOn collar out to anywhere you want to, out in the middle of nowhere where there's barely any cell coverage, and you can turn on that off grid mode and still construct a virtual fence for yourself, and it will operate as advertised. That's something else the Halo lacks. And also, I've done multiple field tests with these things. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, you're probably aware of them. If you haven't, go ahead and go back and check them out, and then come back. And these field tests are basically showing you exactly how the Halo and the SpotOn work, how quick they are in response to your dog crossing the boundaries. And that includes training videos as well, how I work with them, how I train them. And that also shows off the precision and accuracy of both collars. Now, the last thing you've got with both collars is drift. Now, fence drift is something that has occurred from the get-go. It's not an aberration. It's completely natural. As I said, there's no such thing as the perfect GPS system. There will be times when your fence moves a little to the right and a little to the left. Not too much. For me, it's probably been maybe a 2 or 3 foot thing. And that's why it's important to get your boundaries right, because you're going to have about 10 feet inside of your boundaries, your virtual fence lines. And those are your basically your caution zone and your warning zone, 5 feet and 5 feet. And you want to make sure you've got enough room to have that 10-foot border inside the actual virtual fence line and still have enough interior space for your dogs to run around and play. And a lot of that's because of fence drift, but a lot of that's also because, you know, the system is designed to give them ample warning before they cross into that zone. Now, both the Halo and the SpotOn come with subscription plans. The good news is the SpotOn doesn't require a subscription plan for any of your yard activities, only if you need to track your dog. The Halo, on the other hand, is a different animal altogether. It is essentially a paperweight without a subscription plan. You can put it on your dog. They come in a lot of variety as far as colors, and it'll look really pretty and be absolutely useless. If you want to use the Halo, you have to have a subscription. And they come in 3 tiers for the monthly plan, which is $5.99 a month for your basic, $9.99 a month for your silver, and $29.99 a month for your gold. And that gets you a lot of features, especially when it comes to online app usage and access to certain training modules and things of that nature. Now, you get your basic training modules and all that stuff without paying for hardly anything. But if you want even your most basic usage of the collar, you have to have that $5.99 a month subscription plan. It also has annual plans. Now, it reduces the monthly cost a little bit, like the $5.99 drops to $5.09 and the $9.99 drops to $8 and some change. But you have to obviously pay for it on a 1, 2, and I believe 5-year overall plan, all up front 1 year. Now, SpotOn's plans are only if you want to track your dog. You have a $9.95 a month plan for the monthly plan, and then you have a 1 year and a 2-year plan. The thing about the SpotOn is you don't have to have it unless you're actively tracking your dog. And even better, you can make use of all of the collars functions inside the yard with your virtual fencing and, you know, keeping your dog contained and things of that nature, and only need it if you want to track your dog. If you're worried that your dog might disappear on you, you might want to take advantage of the subscription service now, because the way that it operates is, if your dog, let's say you don't have the subscription service and therefore you don't have tracking. If your dog disappears on you and you want to track him, well, you'll have to call SpotOn and create a subscription service so that you can access tracking. Unfortunately, your collar has to be nearby in order for them to activate your subscription plan. Well, if your dog's gone, then your collar's not nearby. So it doesn't really work like that. If you want the subscription and the tracking service that comes with it, then you have to get it as soon as possible, especially if you're worried that your dog's going to escape. Plus, Halo recently dropped their price from $6.99 to $5.99 that's for the Halo 3 collar. So if you've been looking into it and are excited about checking the collar out, it's now $100 cheaper. The SpotOn is retailing at $9.99. Now there's various little things you can do, such as giving them your email and things of that nature that knock off the price, or you can put in WAF for World Animal Foundation, knock an additional $50 off your price. The SpotOn just dropped their price from $12.99 to $9.99, so you're already getting some savings there right off the bat. And then you add in the $50 and anything else you can come up with, you can kind of trim that price down a little bit. So overall, they're expensive collars, but there's a lot of value in both of them. I find that each collar, the Halo and the SpotOn, despite some little faults here and there, the SpotOn with the fitting and the Halo being a little less accurate, despite those issues that I have with them, or cons, whatever you want to call it, both collars are very functional and you get a lot of value for that money. That wraps it up for the Halo and the SpotOn 100-day overview, review, however you want to look at it. Ultimately, I feel like the SpotOn probably takes the cake. It's got the forest mode, it's got the off-grid mode, which is relatively brand new, and it's got less overall drift when it comes to the fence movements on a day-to-day basis. I would say that the drift with the SpotOn is probably half that of what the Halo, what I witnessed with the Halo. I think it's just a more precision collar, and you know, probably a good reason that it's priced around $300 higher. Although I will say the Halo 3's price just dropped from $6.99 to $5.99, so that's definitely worth checking out because it is an outstanding collar as well. Now, like I said, it lacks those modes, but it does make up for it. The Halo 3 does make up for it with the beacon, the active GPS, the precision GPS, and the perfect fit system. But none of that's neither here nor there if you don't go out and do your own little bit of research on these as well. I highly advise you to take a look at both collars. If you can actually get your hands on one of them or both of them, please do so. You know, it will help you make a better decision in terms of, you know, what's most comfortable for your dog and what works for you. Ultimately, thank you for watching the video. I'd really appreciate it if y'all hit that like and subscribe button and make some comments. If you got any concerns, any questions for me, I highly encourage it because I try to get on here and interact with you as much as possible, answer any questions or concerns. Plus, I can bring more to the masses when I get more likes and subscriptions because that helps grow the channel. I appreciate y'all coming, appreciate y'all watching, and y'all have a great day.